On board a slightly damp safari. We just got a great deluge of rain. It didn't last for as long as we hoped it would to quench this parched earth that we are exploring, but at least there has been a little bit of rain. I've just heard over the Game Drive radio, a little bit further north of us, they got 16 millimeters. I'm not sure how much we got here, but it was decent, and we're going to take a drive around now and see if the water holes have filled up a little bit. There's certainly been some puddles in the road, and there's a happy elephant eating some moist marulas. I think some of you might actually recognize this elephant, as he's been hanging around this general area and the quarantine clearings, and I think he's onto a good thing, because as you can see, there's a lot of marula fruits below this tree and in this general area, and it's one of the elephant's favorite fruits. Look, he's picked up about 3. Got a 3-in-1 there, and I love the way they use their nose to sniff them out. I'm actually not sure how much they're watching. Oh, let's watch here. Is he going to rub his body against the tree, or is he going to try and shake the tree to actually get more fruits out of it? I haven't seen it yet this season, and it looks like he's just using it as a rubbing post. Some hardy-dar ibises calling behind us. A lot of the animals are going to be rejoicing this moisture, because it definitely means easier life for them, easier places for them to drink from, more places to drink, better food, and there'll probably be a surge of green growth after this even small downpour. Well, Gerda, happy to hear you no longer have to do any of your chores around the house now that we have waited for the storm to pass and the safari is happening. So I'm glad you got out of that. It's the opposite for us. We got nearly an afternoon off, but then the rain stopped and now we've had to come out. So a twist of events for both of us. It's always wonderful coming out and exploring after the rains, though. And it's still raining now, though, so it hasn't completely stopped. But it is wonderful. I mean, if we just take a look around now, the clouds which were to the west, which is where the storm came from, were dark and ominous, and now already it's cleared up. It's quite pretty weather. We're going to make our way back to the road. That elephant is heading quite close to the camp environs, and I don't want to sandwich it between the fence of the landowner's house as well as another fence of the camp. So we'll continue and explore and see what else we can find. There's some very wet impala here. VM said they're looking nice and clean, and all we need to do now is rub some shampoo and conditioner through their coat to get them a good sheen. And sadly, you don't get to hear nearly as many of VM's quite hilarious one-liners as we do. The other day, some of you will remember when we were watching Karula sleep next to her baby Daika that she had caught, and we found a chameleon that eventually started upstaging Karula. And when we went off air, VM asked me if I thought that the chameleon would be able to change its coloration to that of a leopard's coat if it walked onto Karula, which I thought was hilarious, and I forgot to share that brilliance with you, so better late than never. Good stuff. Well, our plans are, Jamie's headed out sadly, Brent is not back from town, there's nothing to worry about, and even though he was going to come back today, Jamie suggested that he spend the night in town, relax over there, and come back tomorrow fully recouped. So I'm going to try and let's just stop here. There's a herd of zebra coming running down towards us, and it's going to be beautiful to watch. I don't want to try and get any closer to them for the fear that we're going to miss the action. And come on, please keep running. It looks like they may have stopped. I think they were enjoying the downhill blitz. And speaking of clean animals earlier, they are going to be looking immaculate now. So I'm just going to slowly freewheel down. As I was saying, so Brent's spending the night in town where his folks live, so getting pampered by mum and dad. And Jamie and I are out this afternoon. Jamie, here we go, Liam. Looks like they're doing a little bit more trotting. Here they come. With the foal leading the charge. Well, it was temporarily. Now, I'd like to know why they are running. Is it the excitement of the rains? And they know that these rains are bringing green grass. Look how awesome this is. They are looking so clean. And I really think that this could simply be happiness. The joy of some much needed rains. And it's not uncommon to see a lot of the herbivores jumping for joy, literally. Look at them. They look like well-trained dressage ponies displaying for us. I did hear some zebra distress calls earlier. That's my little impersonation. And I'm wondering if something didn't chase them. Maybe a big male leopard. They'll try and take on a young zebra foal. Or possibly some lion. More likely predators. And Angela, well done. You obviously have got your ears tuned in. You've heard something else a little bit earlier. Not zebras, but a lion's deep. And it's interesting because VM also heard that. It was just before we left, probably about 10 or 15 minutes ago, Angela, if you can confirm that. And according to Stefan VM, it was somewhere out in that direction, which is towards Buffelshoek Water. So that's where we're going to head to. It's incredibly difficult, Angela, to pinpoint exactly where lions are calling, or any animal really, especially for me and for most people. There's so many variables. The one being, and I mean this is a major one, if you're facing towards something and talking or roaring, or facing away from something in the exactly same position, it's going to sound completely different. There's obviously also side angles to factor in, the vegetation between us and there. So there's a lot of variables, and we're not too sure. It sounded quite far. It could possibly be on Djuma. We're hoping it is. And that's why I'm going to head out that way towards where that lion audio was heard, and Jamie is going to head to the northwestern corner, the opposite area. And the reason why she's heading there is that we know the Nkuhuma Pride were located literally 50 or 100 meters from our northwestern boundary. So they could well come back home to Djuma. Well, that was a wonderful start with the elephants, those zebras coming running past with my highlights. And we are now going to bid you farewell, and you are going to be transported onto Jamie's vehicle.
While Scotty goes to go and check up on those lion calls, Andrew and myself are perusing the western boundary of Djuma to see if maybe the Nkuhuma Pride were going to be kind enough to grace us with their presence back across onto Djuma. Unfortunately, it does mean that it is the world's rattliest road, and our rain that we had doesn't seem to have improved matters. But with the sun coming out as it is now, it's hard to believe that just half an hour ago it was bucketing down on Djuma. The air smelling as fresh as it is wonderful to be out and enjoy this afternoon. The birds are all singing happily. Everything seems to be very merry on this glorious afternoon. I'm going to try and help Scott as much as I can with the following up on this. And Fada, you were wondering whether or not it was true, for those of you who might have missed it, whether it was true that we saw or that a sable was seen on the Djuma Dam camera. And I'm happy to say that it was indeed, and apparently that is a first. In 17 years, that is a first for this area. But the funny thing is, of course, about that, is the fact that sable used to be incredibly common in this particular part of the world. And the reason, funnily enough, that we're probably seeing the return of at least one of them, or possibly might be linked, is the fact that there has been this terrible drought. So essentially what happened in this particular area is none of this where we are at the moment would have had any kind of natural water sources apart from natural dams that would have filled up. But with human beings coming in and pumping those dams in order to try to have a look at this bird here at the same time. Looks like a snake eagle. A very drenched, very soggy one. And then I'll finish the saga of the sable. Wings stretched out. Trying to... Hello, gorgeous. You're looking a little bit damp, aren't you? Looks like a brown snake eagle. One very drenched brown snake eagle. Little crest sticking up on its head. Or is that... So, sorry, is that a warburg? No, it's a warburg, sorry. Looking at it closer. One leg just looked a bit funny, but it's the way the stick is positioned. Perching on, it is definitely a warburg's. Perching on, clasping the end of the stick and trying desperately to dry himself out. Looking very soggy this afternoon. Now for the birds, this means they are somewhat waterlogged. But Heidi, you wanted to know in general, how does the rain affect, for example, the animals' sense of smell, their ability to smell prey and other things? Heidi, I'm actually not entirely sure that that's been thoroughly researched. I imagine that moisture in the air, the fact that it's still, might play a factor in increasing their ability to smell around them, but not necessarily carry smells towards them. Probably find with the increased humidity that it is going to carry smell particles. What it does do, though, in that respect, is it washes away all of the scent marks of the various animals, which is why we so often see the big cats wandering around, and which makes this afternoon so exciting, because they start to head across and they try and remark all of their territorial boundaries. So that could well be why we're hearing the lions call as they were there. It sort of brings out this burst of increased territorialism. Come on, Rusty, you can do it. There we go. Well done, Rusty. And it's already boiling hot. Went out in my jacket and now seriously regretting that decision. Oh, I was busy talking about the sable. So yes, maybe to an extent, pumping dams and human influence brought in a rush of competitive other game species, so something like buffalo that are more water dependent, which then in turn increased competition and pushed sable that usually generally favor the more arid areas where there's less competition from the other game species. Now, I don't know whether that's the reason that the sable wandered onto Djuma. We know that there's been one occasionally seen at Nkoro, which is not that far away from us as the crow flies. I don't know if it's the same one. I suspect that it might be. But first time in 17 years, and we're still on the lookout for him. We did try and check as much as possible this morning. It's a little bit tricky after rain to go and then track a sable down, particularly since neither Scott nor myself have any experience in actually tracking and following sable. I've had lots of sable encounters, but they've always been entirely accidental, and usually because I've worked in areas where they're more commonly found. And a sable, for those of you who are watching for the first time, an unusual antelope species, absolutely enormous, and probably, I would say it's got to be high up there on the list of most attractive antelope. The name sable comes from the description of the sable color, so black. They are a deep black antelope in color with long curved horns that reach up and over its head and towards its shoulders. And the individual seen on the dam camera was most definitely a male. The females tend to be a bit lighter, but a little bit more red in their coats with smaller horns. And as it turns out, an animal that has proved to be incredibly valuable now that it's been rescued from the brink of decline, which was starting to occur with the populations. You'll notice I drive really nice and slowly through the puddles in the road, because even so soon after the rain, you never know when terrapins might decide to make an appearance. Despite the fact that the sun is out and shining, we're experiencing something of a monkey's wedding, with the rain pouring down on top of us at the same time. Quite an interesting experience. I'm thrilled that today has brought us a little bit of rain. It does mean that I have spent most of the day being a little bit soggy. Darlene, who's watching in New Hampshire, you were wondering if we ever see Cape Glossy or one of the glossy species of starling. You were saying you just love that color that it comes out. It looks so teal in the light, teal or sort of blue-green. Darlene, I can actually pretty much guarantee you that between Scott and myself, one of us will be able to find one of the glossy starlings to show you. Our main species here are the birchals, the Cape Glossy, and the blue-eared. The birchal's ever so slightly bigger than the other two, and the blue-eared can be a bit tricky to identify. There's a cool bird species for you, and it's calling. I love this bird. My favorite call in the whole world. Hello, Busted. Maybe a new one for some of you budding birders out there, a black-bellied bustard. And I'm going to be quiet for a moment so we can hear if he's going to keep calling. Come on, boy. Gotta do it for us. He's listening to another black-bellied bustard calling. Is he going to do it? Come on. The audience can't laugh along with me if they don't see you call. Called as we went past him. You can hear how happy all of the birds are. They're all chirping away. Here we go. It's that champagne cork pop at the end. That is my absolute best. Well done. Thank you for delivering, Mr. Bustard. Can we do another one? Or are you going to be a reluctant caller? So, for those of you who maybe couldn't miss it or weren't sure what it sounds like, it's a sort of it's a little rising whistle, and then at the end of it, as he brings his head back up in that popping motion that you saw, it's accompanied by a sound that sounds exactly like a champagne cork popping out. One more time for good luck. Come on, that other male's calling. He's going to attract all the ladies. Here we go. Awesome. Alright. Black-bellied bustard to show you. Even the frogs are starting to chirp. The magpie shrikes are all thrilled that the rain has finally decided to grace us with its presence. Now, where was I? Yes. Darlene, your question about... There we go. You ask and we deliver. This is a birchal starling. It's not a Cape Glossy. But luckily, because the sun is out, despite the rain, you can see that incredible teal color that Darlene was talking about. So that incredible shine, you know what's amazing about that, Darlene? And I remark upon it every time I see them because I find it so incredible. That blue-green color that you're seeing, that bird is actually black, or at least the pigment on it is black along the feathers. And then what's being laid across it and on top of it is layers of keratin that reflect and refract the light and break up the beams almost in the way prisms break up rainbows. And the end result is only those wavelengths of light that produce that glossy blue and green color are the ones that are reflected, so the ones that make us back to our eye. It's one of those fascinating things about birds is the fact that most of them only really have either red and yellow pigments or blue pigments within them. There are no birds, with limited exceptions, and I'll tell you what those are in a moment. There are no birds with green or red, natural green or red occurring pigments out here. And I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard of a purple-crested turaco or any members of the turaco family. Look a lot like a grey go-away bird, but more colourful. We'll talk some more about birds, shall we? I'm impressed. Last thing I have to say is the fact that while I'm accompanied to the gentle call of the black-bellied bustard, turaco, the name turaco, comes from the pigment that they have on them, which is the turaco-verdin pigment. And whilst I attempt to figure out why Rusty refuses to start, let's pop over to Scott, who has the end of the product of the rain.
Wow, look at this beautiful scene. And I'm not sure what you may call it in your various countries, but we call sunny and rainy weather at the same time a monkey's wedding. And this monkey's wedding is in attendance with the rainbow, as well as some inyala feeding at the base of it. Absolutely beautiful. And it's awesome feeling to be out in this crisp, clean weather. And Susie and Mumbai, you'll probably hear the drops spluttering on the vehicle. Still raining, not hard. It's quite pleasant actually. And the bush really did need a good cleansing, and everything is in extra high definition now. I'm not sure if you guys can see the rainbow. It seems to be glowing a little bit brighter now than it was before. Marvelous. We're still making our way further east in the hope of trying to work out where this lion audio is coming from and who it's coming from also, not just where, but who is making this noise. In all likelihood, one of the Birmingham boys, I'm guessing. They'll be the most vocal of lions in this area. So that's my bet. How many of them? I can't tell. I didn't share the audio. And even if I did, it can be very difficult to tell exactly how many lions are calling, especially if they are far away. Mike in Florida, and I've just read a little bit of your article before we came out on our website due to your incredible feats of getting so many birds on your bird list, so well done for doing that. And the little snippets I read of the article were really cool, so thank you for that. And Mike has now just said it's time to go out and find the queen. And for those of you who may be joining for the first time, the queen is a female leopard called Karula, and she's been dodging us for the last few days, so it's about time we tracked her down. Hopefully, now that the ground's a little bit soft after the rain, we might be able to find some of her footprints and work out where exactly she's been hiding. In the same breath, a lot of her previous tracks would have been washed away. Just going to stop here and give VM another chance to show you this rainbow. I don't know if I'm dropping you in the deep end here, VM, but we don't get rainbows very often, so interesting. Basically, you've just mentioned that you don't call it a monkey's wedding, you say a witch is getting married. And basically, where are you from? That'd be great to know where exactly on the planet that term is used. Beautiful. Maybe we'll find the lion somewhere at the bottom of the rainbow. I'm going to pick the brighter end, which is out to the left. Now, not only has some lion audio being heard out here, but this is the general direction that the sable initially headed towards as it left the Djuma waterhole. I mean, it could have changed direction many times since then and reaching here, and obviously that happened many hours ago at 1 o'clock last night our time. So not a huge possibility, but there's always a chance that we could come around one of these corners and find a sable. I'm not sure if Jamie told you, but this morning I saw a dark figure up ahead and thought it was the sable we were hunting for, but it was an inyala. I called for a crash cut. You guys jumped into my vehicle only for an inyala to be revealed. Which was quite funny. Okay, so the witches getting married is used in Massachusetts and surroundings, so I'm guessing America in general. So thank you very much for that. I wonder who decided that it would be fitting to call it a monkey's wedding here and a witch's wedding over where you are. Either way, you wouldn't believe it. These tracks look like they could be tracks of a sable. And they're heading in our direction, well, in the same direction we're heading in. And if you go a little bit further up there, there. Those are good ones there. Those two are good ones there. And I think, oh no, it's been moving up and down here. Let me just jump out quickly and have a look. This could very well be the sable. Now, with an antelope track, the pointy part indicates the direction it's heading in. And there were one or two that were heading that way. Then I think it's turned around and come back. Pop around onto the other side of the vehicle here to try and work out what's going on, because there's also some tracks heading down here. And these tracks are from after the rain. They're very, very fresh. And I think they are for who we're looking for, but there's some going down and then it looks like it's turned around here and headed back up. Well, we've come from there, so let's continue up. I could be wrong, but then again, I could also be right. So I never spent time tracking sable before. All I know is that it's basically a giant impala track, and that fits the profile to me. The only concern is that it could be some waterbuck. And waterbuck tracks tend to be a lot more heart-shaped. This is quite triangular. Come on, sable. Now, you can help me search. It's a pitch black antelope, hard to mistake with anything else other than an anyala. So if you see any pitch black dark shapes around us, shout, because we could find an animal that, like Jamie says, has not been seen yet for 17 years. Jen in Minnesota, thank you for letting us know that over there you call it a sun shower. And look at this. There's a poor old hornbill, drenched from the rain, probably not hugely dissimilar from the eagle you were watching earlier, holding its wings out in an attempt to try and dry off. It's bedraggled scenario here. It is looking like it's been through a washing machine. Shame. But it's going to reap the benefits of this rain. Its coats or its feathers are now nice and clean and can be preened. Far better than if it had have been washing itself in some muddy waters, which is basically all that exists here at the moment. And even the insects that are going to surge after the rainfall are going to provide a lot of food for this hornbill. Good. A few more clouds building out to the west. So we could get more rain. Come on, sable. Now, one thing we discussed this morning, for those of you who weren't with us, is it's going to be interesting to see this animal's behavior if and when we do eventually find it, because there is a strong chance that it's not habituated and it may see this vehicle and head for the hills. And that was my thought process when I did see a dark shape earlier this morning. I think I may have found who's responsible for our tracks. That is not a sable, everyone, that is a waterbuck. And I'm fairly certain that he is the individual who got me excited. So now I've had a false alarm with an Inyala, now a false alarm with a waterbuck. What next? To be honest though, and in my defense, it's not often that we track the antelope down. It's more the lions, the leopards, and the wild dogs that we specialize in, so that's my excuse. But this is a beautiful specimen. I mean, now that we're here, I mean, you are a fine waterbuck that would rival even the most spectacular of sable. So it's not that we don't think you're impressive, you're just not who we were looking for, buddy. So don't take it personally. We love that white ring on your bottom, your shaggy coat and those very impressive horns. But if you do see the sable around, please make sure you chase it towards us. And also, if you've got any idea of where those lion were calling nearby to us, you can also let us know. What's interesting is you can see that little puddle below it. It's filled up a little bit with water. I mean, not much. It would have been bone dry before the rain. You can also see that there are still some raindrops falling. Okay, well, onward. Keen to try and get out of this embarrassing situation as soon as possible. Now we are going to send you across to Jamie's vehicle, and I'm sure she's going to have a great time teasing me about both the Inyala and the waterbuck.
I would ever tease Scott. I could so easily have made that mistake absolutely myself. We'll see. We'll see what we go. Let's see what we find before I make any promises I can't keep. And speaking of promises, as soon as we've come out of the sun, Andrew's just very kindly taken the rain cover off the camera so that he's able to use it more easily. And I don't know if it was the right decision, Andrew.
You said, Jamie.
I know. I think hi. I might have made a mistake. Now, guys, what do you think? Are those clouds bringing rain? Now, I'm not too sure. What does that look like? Is that an Inyala? I'm not sure. Let's have a closer look. Let's try and find you a nice view. And while I do, let's chat about our wonderful cameraman. And we have a new viewer, Gillian Boyd. You were saying that the camera doesn't look like it's being moved by a person. Andrew, you're there though, aren't you? Andrew's sitting on the back. He's just that good. Our cameramen are pros in their field. Hello, damp elephants. Good day. Are you going to come wander towards us? Whole herd is spread out, probably reveling in not just the rain, but also the coolness of the weather after some very hot, muggy days. Hello, little one. All a much darker color. Than they usually are. So welcome to any new viewers. Don't forget that we are live, which means that we never know what we're going to expect around the next corner. I certainly wasn't expecting a herd of elephants to come wandering towards us. And the nice thing is they do seem to be wandering towards us rather than us having to wander towards them. So we'll let them carry on. It's quite a big herd. I've counted at least 20, all tucked away in the bushes outside of where Andrew can really get you a good view of them. What you after under there, girl? Now, she's not after that bush, obviously. It's dead and dried. But what it has done has been to provide a shelter for the different plant species growing underneath it, which means they might be a bit greener. And there you go, you can see how green that piece was that she plucked out. Something known as a seed bank, essentially. Means that the plants don't desiccate as quickly in the sun. Well, at the moment we're going to be incredibly contented with our view. And let them just come to us. Hello, big girl. Are you bringing your baby with you? Your baby's got a hat of leaves on it. And nice to see them. It's been a long time since we've seen elephants really targeting the plants on the ground. And that's been because those plants haven't carried much in the way of nutrition. Hello, ladies. As you can see, lovely big herd. Look at this little one. Look at the little one all covered in leaves. Hello. Hello, baby. You're gonna come be scary. Come say hello. Come say hello. It's a little boy. Tusks haven't come through yet, so probably still under 3 years old. And here come the rest of them, all wandering behind Andrew. And come draw with me. I'm glad that you are enjoying this elephant sighting as much as I am. It's great to have you on board with our live safaris. Yours is definitely not a name that I've heard before. So it's always fantastic to have new people join us and become part of the Safari Live family and the Wild Earth family. There's no better feeling than I can describe than a relaxed herd of elephants completely surrounding us. We've got elephants to the left, elephants to the right, the occasional elephant behind us. And all completely acting as if we weren't here. And that's one of my favorite ways to enjoy an elephant sighting. Little Bubba at the back. Oh, hello. Here you go. Tiny little one, just about a year old. Hello, Elise. Hi, guys. Hello, big girl. Thanks, big girl. Hi. Hey, big mommy. You're keeping an eye on us, huh? It's all right, big girl. You're not going to do anything, I promise. Thanks, guys. Nicely now. Don't you touch Andrew or the car. You're going to play with your friend there. Come and do that in front of the car where I can see you. You can't watch you properly there. 2 young males coming through. Hello, boy. Hello, little boy. Now, the reason that I'm talking constantly and not just narrating to all of you is the fact that elephants do recognize your tone. Hey, little one, you're naughty. You're naughty. Yes. You want to come and scratch your ear? Look at your beautiful eyelashes. So the reason I'm talking to them, they can't obviously understand a word I'm saying, but with elephants, it's absolutely essential that you talk, I've found in every elephant sighting, because they recognize the tone. These animals are so intelligent. They have incredibly large brains, and it means that you can just convey your intention. They are smart enough to understand whether you mean them harm. And very often in situations where I've just needed to change my tone, it's been all that's been needed to get them to just relax in the way that they need to. You are trouble. You've got that in your face. You're a mischievous little teenage boy. How cool is that though? Right next to the car. And I can't describe the smell to you when you get surrounded by elephants. It's one of my favorite smells in the whole wide world. Watch how he's munching away, pulling the branches into his mouth, using his tusks to help strip them. But the smell is this combination of don't know how I would describe it. There's a very earthy smell to them, as well as all of the plants that they release the tannins from. And in a nice relaxed sighting like this, you're a messy eater. Awesome. Another reason that they felt so completely relaxed in our presence was the fact that we let them approach us. So all we did was have a look at where they were going and settle the car down there. I could also hear some very low rumbling sounds. That's the rest of the herd communicating to each other. Look at those feet. Fascinating things, elephant feet. There's his toenails. How cool is that? You're looking at an elephant's toenails. Oh, yes, you're big and scary. Oh, you're so scary. I told you he was trouble. Are you being naughty? Are you being so naughty? Oh, you're so big and scary. So guys, nothing to be afraid of with a young male like this. Essentially what he's doing is he's trying to act big and brave. Hey, stop your nonsense. But he's not really. It's all bravado. And it's all part of being a teenage boy when you're an elephant. Acting big and tough and scary. Were you intimidated, Andrew? I was terrified.
He's still going.
He's still going. Are you throwing a teenage tantrum, boy? But still stopping to grab a snack on the way. Some more Ellies coming towards us as well. And Paul Rizzo, you've said that you've called me the elephant whisperer. I just like to talk to them, and I found that it was the way I was trained when I was learning to become a guide, and it's something that's always, in my experience, actually worked to my advantage. Sorry, I'm turning this way so I can keep an eye on what's happening there and over my shoulder. There's still more elephants coming up to the right of us. So whilst not in any way would describe myself as an elephant whisperer, I definitely can't talk to them. They don't understand a word I'm saying. Hi guys, how are you? Good, thanks. Sorry, I can't turn on my car right now, so sorry about that.
It's the immobilizer.
It's the immobilizer's a bit stuck. Cheers, guys. Bye. But yes, it's just about translating your tone in a way that gets across your intentions. And I strongly believe that elephants are smart enough to pick up on your body language and the way that you're feeling in that particular situation. He's still throwing a tantrum. It's hilarious. I don't know what happened. He decided that he was thoroughly unimpressed, having stood next to us and had a really nice lunch. Now, I have already tried once to start with you. Lion. Sorry, guys, taking my earpiece out.
Sounded like lions calling.
I heard something as well, but I heard it out of my left ear. Let me just turn up my Game Drive channel for one moment. Sorry, everyone, I'll be with you in a moment.
Are you sure? I don't mind heading around to your side. No, coming.
Maybe that's why these Ellies, maybe that's why that young bull was a bit upset. There's a lot of rumbling. Go and investigate. I can't quite confirm if it was, in fact, a lion or not. There's a couple of kudu.
Is it not a sable?
Where? Where do you see? Oh, yes. Hey, you got me there, Andrew. I thought I was teasing Scotty. So there we have the elusive kudu bull. Almost as magnificent as the... Very well done. Well played, Andrew. That was a bit embarrassingly gullible. Where was I? Oh, yes, the almost as handsome as the sable in its own way. And it's always impressive to see this particular group of males. There's about 5 nice big males with beautifully twisted horns. I wonder if it was lion or if it wasn't an elephant making a funny noise. There's some more of them on the right. Now, unfortunately, it seems that today Rusty has developed her immobilizer problem, at which point she immobilizes any car within a sort of a 500-meter radius, including herself. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop back over to Scott, catch up with the elephant, and be back with you very shortly.
Well, exciting stuff. I can't wait to hear where Jamie thinks these lions are roaring so we can head there and help her. And we switched off as soon as we got the message, but didn't hear anything. So we're guessing it's to the west, somewhere closer to where she is. We are just arriving on our northern boundary. And we're going to head in the opposite direction to, I'm guessing Jamie has that lion audio for now. I just want to check one quick area that we haven't checked already, and then we can always race off in that direction to give her a hand once we know what's going on. Just got an update through saying that it's not conclusive exactly what Jamie did here, so we'll leave her to try and work that out for herself, and we'll continue in this area where we thought we heard some early audio much earlier on. That way we will divide and conquer rather than all concentrating in one area. Also wondering if she has got an update from the guys in the west as to whether the Nkuhumas have been found. I'm a bit too far to get a hold of the Arathusa and Sibambili guys, but hopefully she has got a hold of them, because there's a strong chance they will know where the Nkuhuma 5 lioness are at the moment. They weren't too far from our boundary earlier this morning, so let's hope that they're going to come back. Who knows, maybe this time we'll be lucky enough to actually film them taking down a buffalo. We narrowly missed it yesterday. We were just 20 minutes too early that we closed down. But we will get lucky again. Brent has been the luckiest so far with regards to lion kills, and we saw that very same pride taking down an adult buffalo not too long ago. I remember sitting at Twin Dams nearby, and it was really awesome because I knew that Brent was actually on the road, Javier. Hello, socially awkward girl. That's an interesting name you've chosen. And you'd like to know who Brent is. Well, Brent is one of the other guides. And there's also James. He's on leave. Brent's just on sick leave. He has either a spider bite or a tick bite or something else. Look at how cool this chameleon is. And I'm glad we didn't squash it. And let's see what it does next. We're not in any hurry. And what it's probably going to start doing, at some point it's going to have to realize that it's going to have to move. And when it does start moving, when it's confident that we may not see it, it'll start kind of bobbing this strange almost dance. It's almost actually worth getting one of your favorite songs ready so that the chameleon can dance along to it as it starts moving. And they do that to simulate kind of a leaf being blown in the wind. So yes, Brent will be back tomorrow. He may be sporting a man bun. He may have his hair flowing over his shoulders. There's no way of telling. And James does not sport the same hairstyle as Brent, so he will not be arriving back with the man bun or long flowing hair. But two wonderful guys that you are really going to enjoy meeting. Socially awkward girl. And at the moment there's just 4 of us who drive the vehicles around, and we are planning on getting a few more guys in the coming weeks and months. So tomorrow another guy arrives, a friend of mine called Brett, who I've worked with for many years, and he's worked in the industry for many years. He's coming tomorrow. He'll do his interview drive on Wednesday morning. And then there's a friend of Brent's coming, a guy called Neil. So I'm not too sure when he'll arrive, but I think this week. So there's going to be a lot of new faces taking little interview drives, and we expect your usual behavior to be very friendly and welcoming to them. It's quite a daunting task taking your first drive with this camera on the back as opposed to 6 or 7 guests, which is usually who you drive around. So it will be nice if you are just the same way you were with all of us, very, very welcoming, as I'm sure you will be. Now, it looks like the chameleon's decided not to try and cross the road, and I think it's going to start doing its slow motion staggering dance now. Possibly not, and the reason why it may be moving extra slowly is because of this cold, cold weather. Aha, Donna, you've made a good observation after my previous comment about VM mentioning a chameleon could change its coloration to be that of a leopard, and this is fairly similar, I guess. Almost a few rosettes there. Look at it, how it's keeping one eye on us. This is so cool. And this is fully grown. It's a flat-necked chameleon. It's about 5 inches in length, and I wonder where it was planning on heading off to. Possibly it was coming down for a drink on some puddles in the road, but those puddles have already dissipated and everything's been soaked into the thirsty ground. Come on, chameleon, I thought you were going to do a special dance for us, but occasionally our predictions of animals' movements are quite the contrary, and this is a good example of that. Well, socially awkward girl, you are asking how to ask a question, and you do it the same way as how you asked about asking a question. You just ask the question that way. So if you'd like to know anything, you just send a question, your thoughts through to questions@WildEarth.tv. So that's one way, an email, or on Twitter using the hashtag Safari Live. And it's not just questions. To be honest, I love hearing your comments and thoughts and observation as much as I enjoy answering your questions. So sometimes that's a good trick to get in and involved with us, is just to send through a short question, short comment, rather than a long-winded question that's going to take half an hour to answer. That's a little clue. Socially awkward girl. Come on, chameleon. It doesn't seem like it's going to perform for us, so it looks, I think we may leave it, and that way we will not interfere with wherever it was planning on heading to. Maybe it was planning on going and visiting a friend for dinner or sundowner. Typical behavior out here in Africa on safari. You stop for G&Ts in the evening, and maybe that's where the chameleon was heading off to. Well, we're going to leave it and not interfere with its plans for the afternoon, and send you across to Jamie, who's still with those elephants.
Still with our lovely elephant herd. Now moving very rapidly towards the southern boundary. It's so nice to have a wonderfully relaxed group of Ellies. Now, the reason I haven't moved any further forward is actually because there's one remaining youngster, a little bull that decided to come and hassle us earlier. And I don't want to cut him off or make him feel threatened in any way from the rest of the herd. It's you, Mischief, I'm talking about you. You're going to come be scary again. Yes. Hello. Yes, you're very big and very scary. So he's almost at the age now where he's going to be essentially kicked out of the herd. He's got another probably 2 or 3 years, and then he's going to be pushed out to make a life all on his own. And already his hormones are starting to come into play. That's why I said he is a teenage boy, essentially, in elephant terms, which is making him feel the need to make sure that he shows himself to be big and strong and scary. Now, I'm not sure, but I think I've actually seen this elephant herd before. It's got a very large tuskless female in it. Now, tuskless elephants are naturally occurring. It's about 4 to 10% of the populations, depending on where you are in the world. Obviously, with the heavy poaching problems in the more northern parts of Africa, in the central and northern parts of Africa, they've started to favor artificially select for tuskless elephants. But we do see them naturally occurring every now and again in the Kruger population. And there's 2 in this herd. There's an older female, a beautiful old female, who I suspect is one of the oldest in this herd. And then there's a younger female as well. The younger one is also, and I was just wondering about that little baby that didn't have the tusks that we saw earlier. I just wonder, because it looked quite tall, but usually by that size and by that age, they have their tusks starting to come through. And I wonder whether the genetics in this particular herd aren't playing a role there. Popping my vehicle into low range, it just means that I can look at this. You can see the dirt on the soles of his feet. And Tom, in Dallas, you've been keeping a list of all of the birds and mammal species that you see. Now, Tom, I'm really sorry. I think the clouds are playing havoc with my radio communication, so I can't share your exact totals. I love those soles of his feet. Look, you can see the dirt flicking up. So I can't share Tom's impressive totals, but he has been doing a wonderful job, and I would encourage all of you to keep those lists yourself, especially if you're regular viewers of Safari Live. You can get easily over 300 bird species, plenty of mammal species. Watching elephant feet walk down the road. Oh, there's another young bull coming up behind us. And somebody, one of these males, not the youngsters, they're a bit too young, but one of these males is in must. I can smell it washing over me. I wonder if I didn't notice just because they were dark and damp, which might have hidden the secretions that indicate a male elephant in must. And must is essentially an increased period of testosterone. Where's your tail? You're missing a tail. What happened there? That's interesting. Not often you see an elephant without a tail. Now he's going to have the same interaction with this female again. She behaved... Oh no, she's not. She's just being defensive of her baby. She gave him a very careful glance. She's very protective of that little one still. It's only a couple of months old. It's probably just coming up to a year now. So yes, the period of must is a time in an male elephant's life where their testosterone levels rocket. They start to secrete from their temporal glands, and at the height of their must, what's happening? Is there a push and a shove happening in the trees there? Young males again. Oh, it's a female and a calf. The calf just got in the way. And at the height of must, they start to dribble urine almost perpetually. What that means is that they carry a very strong scent. Also, it maybe might make them a bit more aggressive than normal. Not all the time, though. But what it does mean is that they tend to follow the herds. Watch the way that those elephant feet spread as they walk to share out the weight of their body. That's so cool. I love sitting with elephants. They fill me with such an incredible sense of peace. And with the older females, when you spend time with them, there's always that perpetual sense of wisdom. Less so with these little teenagers. Shame, this herd has got its hands full. At least 3 teenage boys, all roughly the same age.